We are 3 months away from the full release of Grounded, which may feel like forever for some of us. I know many of you are playing far less often, or not at all, but jumping back in for a few hours each week will be worth your while if you plan on continuing your existing saves. The developers have said they will be doing their best to make sure old saves are able to be continued when the 1.0 update releases, so I thought it would be a good idea to share with you the 5 most important resources you should farm now. Before we begin, I want to thank Handsome Ivan, Lyndon Dade, Matthew Campbell, Stephen Van, the Overseer 91, and all my other channel members for helping make videos like this possible. Becoming a member is the best way to support the channel and is equivalent to watching my videos more than 1,000 times per month. Click the join button below or the link in the description to become a channel member today. Thanks again to all my channel members. Let's get started. So there's a couple things we know about Grounded over the next couple of months. Number one is the full release is going to be sometime in September. We're not sure when it's going to be in September. I'm going to go on a limb and say it's probably going to be towards the end of the month, just to give the developers more time. Now, another thing that we know is that between now and then, there's going to be at least one more public test server. So we're going to get one more update, which will be the 0.14 update, I believe. I don't think they're going to do 0.13. Something else. I think it's going to be a 0.14. They did mention wanting to have us test out some other system. So not sure what system that's going to be. Maybe it's going to be a weather system. Maybe it's going to be some kind of new progression system, something along those lines. But those are the things we know right now. And another thing, as I mentioned in the intro, is the developers have said time and time again, they're going to do everything they can in their power to be able to have us continue our existing saves going from a game preview, early access into the full release. Now, of course, they're going to recommend starting over. And of course, I'm going to do both. If it's possible to continue my existing save, I'm going to continue this save because I've done pretty much everything on here and I've stocked up on lots of resources. So I'm pretty much prepared to jump into whatever they add. But I'm definitely going to start over at least one time, if not more, just to experience the whole game from beginning to end with everything they have at 1.0. So with that said, what I want to do in this video was cover 5 resources that I think you should, if you're playing right now, or even if you're not playing, maybe you're going to not jump back into 1.0. You could jump in for a few hours a week and just collect some of these resources. That way you'll have enough of them so that when you do jump back in, either the next public test server or when the 1.0 release happens, that you'll have enough of these resources that you're not spending hours farming them. So number one on the list is going to be sap. Now, the reason I'm recommending getting sap is because sap is needed in many crafting recipes, so we can look at sap real quick. So let's go to the crafting menu here, and we will type in sap as a resource, which is over here. So sap is here. You're gonna notice sap is in all these different things. So it's used for lots of different things, whether it's beginning armors. Mainly what we're looking for here is the grub leather plates, because that's what the main cost is here, but it's needed in lots of the crafting stations as well. But the primary cost is gonna be for upgrading armor. So right now with the current cost, it's going to cost you 105 sap to upgrade one piece of armor, 315 for a full set. We know from the full release trailer there's going to be at least 2 new sets of armor, assuming both of them come, the Mantis armor and the other one that looks like it's either Mongolian or Viking style. That's 2 full new sets of armor. That means you're going to need, if you're going to upgrade each one of those sets or even one of them, you're going to need 315 sap. If you're going to do both of them, you're going to need 630. There's possibly going to be other armor sets in the game or other armor pieces added. There's supposed to be other bosses. As of right now, the bosses, the Termite King, which is a mini boss, and the Bird Mother both drop armor pieces. There's almost surely going to be some type of leg piece from a boss. So there's a good chance that any new bosses that get added, aside from the Mantis, which I believe is a boss fight, and the other ones, maybe the Ant Queen, maybe something else that hasn't been shown yet, is also going to drop type of armor or allow us to craft type of armor. So you're going to need lots of sap. So how do you get sap? There's a couple ways to get sap. One is by randomly just picking it up around the map like this. So as you can see, any sticks like this, and as well as any branches, like large branches like the Fallen Branch, which we'll look at on the map right now. So I did scan for sap. The fallen branch is over here. This is one that looks like it fell from the tree. Obviously over here at the oak tree, there's a ton of sap. So any places there's roots or sticks laying on the ground, you're going to be able to find some sap. There's some over here by the hedge, and there's also a decent amount up here by the termite hill, although you're going to have to deal with lots of bugs up there. So that's one way of getting it, is by picking up naturally. Another way of getting it is by setting up sap catchers. Now, if you saw my video on the sap catcher, I guess you can call it a glitch or temporary exploit, which is almost surely going to be patched. I would imagine this is probably going to be patched in the 0.14 update or whatever update it is between now and 1.0. Maybe they'll save it for 1.0, so you might have 3 months to take advantage of this. But more likely than not, this is probably going to be patched sooner rather than later. And that's going to be putting sap catchers on turrets. This basically makes sap catchers mobile. You can put them wherever you want. And as you can see here, I've set up, I believe there's like 16 on one of these and 15 on another. I've had some of my members of my community say they've gotten up to 20 of them on each one. Now from these here, I think, like I said, I think it's about 30 or 31 of them. I'm able to get about 130 sap per day. Each sap catcher gets about 5. And I'm going to head over to my house real quick and just show you how much sap I have. And this is pretty much exclusive from these 2 sap catchers. And the reason I did this is because one thing I don't want to have to do when 1.0 comes out is spend hours farming sap just to upgrade some armors. So right now I have one full chest here, another full chest here. So each one of these has 1,000 sap in it. So that's 2,000. And then we have another half one. So that's about 2,552 sap right there just from the sap catchers. And like I said, I get about 130 a day. And a day is what, about 48 minutes, I believe, in real time. So you can just grab those. You can also set sap catchers up. I do have sap catchers up, or I did. I think I do still have sap catchers up set up over here on the fallen log. Many people set them up over here on the oak tree. But if you have your base and it's not near either the oak tree or the fallen log, if it's over here in the northwestern part of the map or the western part of the map, as you can see, there's not nearly as much sap. And there's really not many places to put sap catchers. I think there's a place over here. There's some roots, but I wouldn't recommend building over in the places that are not finished yet because you never know what they're going to do with the land over there and your stuff may end up underground, like my house did that was over here, I believe it was, on this rock. I would recommend doing the mobile sap catchers right now while you can before they patch it. So sap's going to be the #1 resource I recommend getting. Aside from that, #2, and this is going to go along with the sap, is going to be crude rope. The reason you're going to want to get a lot of crude rope is because it currently takes 75 crude rope to upgrade 1 armor piece and 225 to upgrade an armor set. So crude rope is needed obviously for a lot of the starter gear here, which is basically tier 1. But like I said, the main thing is going to be the grub leather plates, and I did not mean to click that. The main thing is the grub leather plates. And also you're going to need it if you're building any stem floors. So if you're building anything out of stem walling or palisades, so maybe you're going to build raid bases or you want to build around the mixers using stems or the palisade walls, you're going to need lots of crude rope. Now, the best way to do this is to obviously set up a production system here. So basically what I have going on here is what I do is I cut down some weed stems. So up here where I am in the upper yard, there are lots of weeds around here. You can see there's weeds over there. So basically I can fill up one of the pallets here, come over here, feed these into the grinder. Each weed stem is going to give you 8 plant fibers, so 5 of them is going to give you 40. Then what I do is I take them over here, put them in my spinning wheels, and you can do 5 at a time. So as you can see, I have lots of plant fiber saved up, and I think I have the rope downstairs. So I have tons of crude rope here right now, not nearly as much as I probably need. So I'm probably going to get to work on this too, in addition to the I really don't need much more sap. I don't think I'm going to burn through that sap, although I'm going to keep collecting it. But I'm definitely going to try to fill up at least 1 chest full of crude rope because you just need it for a lot of stuff. And specifically, like building this house, I had to go out and just putting in these stem flooring everywhere like I did here. That took a ton of crude rope. So I'd recommend setting up a production system where you have a couple grinders, a couple spinning wheels, and then you're just making as much crude rope as possible because you're going to definitely need that for upgrading the new armors. Like I said, you're going to need 225 per armor set. That means if you want to upgrade the Mantis armor and that other armor set that was shown, you're going to need at least 450 crude rope. And then if they add any more other armors besides that, you're going to need crude rope to upgrade those armors as well. The third resource I'm going to recommend farming as much as possible now is going to be quartzite. Now, this is probably obvious. The reason you want to get as much quartzite as possible is because you need quartzite to upgrade every weapon. Doesn't matter which path you're going to choose, just to get from level up to level 5, you're going to need 62 quartzite per weapon. We know as of now there's at least 1 new weapon coming to the game with the Mantis Scythe. There's a possibility that more are going to be added besides that. I mean, it's almost a guarantee there's going to be other weapons added because there's currently no tier 3 spear, there's no tier 3 dagger. If they add a tier 3 scythe, which would be the Mantis Scythe, there's a possibility they might add a tier 1 and a tier 2 scythe. They might also add just other weapons that we're not aware of, maybe a tier 3 bow. There's lots of things that could be added. There's probably going to be a couple more weapons besides the Mantis Scythe added. So that means you're going to need at least 62 quartzite for each one of those. And in addition to that, if you want to go the Mighty Path, which honestly going the Mighty Path might not be a bad idea because no insects are resistant or strong or weak. No insects are resistant to the Mighty Path, while many insects are resistant to the other ones, the salty, the spicy, and the minty, or the fresh. So you can go the Mighty Path just to be safe, get the most damage, and not have to worry about strengths and weaknesses. You're going to need a total of 422 quartzite if you want to go the Mighty Path and get a weapon to level 9. Now, the best way to get quartzite, obviously, is going to be to farm it from a couple of safe places. One's going to be the Oak Tree Lab and the Old Anthill. So that's the Oak Tree Lab over here. Connecting to the Anthill, you can see you're going to get a decent amount here. And then also the Red Anthill is pretty safe. If you put on Red Ant armor, you can go through both of these without having to really fight at all because the only danger you're going to find is soldier ants typically, unless a stronger enemy wanders down into the Red Anthill. That doesn't normally happen. So those are pretty safe and you're going to get a decent chunk from those. In addition to that, there's also the Larva Den that's over here, which is just, it actually connects between the what is this, Spade Gulch, and then there's a little tunnel over here somewhere that connects to it. So there's a decent amount down there, although you're gonna have to deal with quite a bit of larva. If you're geared up, that's not gonna be too hard. You can pretty much, I think you can kill larva in 1 or 2 hits with higher level gear. You can also see there's quartzite scattered other places. The haze has a decent amount of quartzite. If you've plugged the haze, it's probably safe to go down there because you'll be able to see the enemies. If you haven't plugged the haze, then it's going to be a little bit more dangerous. And then also the red anthill has quite a bit of quartzite in it as well. So that's another place to go. That's going to be more dangerous. So if you just want to be safe and maybe hit up quartzite every once in a while, and then you'll see there's a little bit up here as well down in the canyons. Actually, there's probably more than that because I think I've farmed it recently. There's a decent amount up here in the canyons as well. And then there's some under here by the spider. The 2 safest places are going to be the Oak Tree Lab and the Red Anthill. If you hit those up every couple of days when it respawns, you end up getting hundreds and hundreds of quartzite. And you're definitely going to need to do that regularly if you want to max out if you want to max out all the weapons when they come out. The 4th resource I'm going to recommend farming now is going to be mussel sprouts. The reason for that is mussel sprouts are used to make beefy smoothies. So if you use grub sludge, you'll get regular smoothies or normal smoothies. If you use mussel sprouts, you'll get beefy smoothies. If you use gum, you will get sticky smoothies. The difference being that the grub sludge just gives you the standard whatever the smoothie makes. The mussel sprouts will give you extra healing, and the gum will give you extra duration. Now, the reason I like using mussel sprouts for smoothies is because it's by far the best way to heal. The fiber bandages do not heal that well. You have to use a bunch of them. They heal you in a little chunk, and then they heal like 1 HP per second over some amount of time. Even using the ladybug armor, they don't heal that great. However, the mussel sprout smoothies, any smoothie made with mussel sprouts, even if you make the one that's just got question marks where you throw 3 random resources or 3 of 1 resource in there, it'll give you a good chunk of healing. They're super easy to make because all you need is mussel sprouts. The downside is that mussel sprouts only spawn in one place, and that's going to be in the pond dome. So we're going to look at it over here. So this is the pond dome is right here. So the pond dome or the pond hatch, no, the pond dome is right here. Pond dome is right here. So obviously this is the part in the trailer that opened up, and you've probably seen this if you played the game. It's the dome that opens up, and you can see it. You complete, when you open this up, it completes the pond lab, and there's mussel sprouts around there. I believe they respawn every 3 to 5 in-game days, somewhere in that time frame. I'm not exactly sure how long it takes for them to respawn, but I know it's every couple of in-game days. And so you're only going to be able to get 30 at a time because there's 30 of them in there. It's the only place you can currently get them. They might be added to other places in the future, not sure. I know people have asked to be able to like plant them in a garden. I don't think the devs are ever going to do that because that would make them like way too easy to get. But I definitely recommend getting as many mussel sprouts as possible right now because beefy smoothies are going to be your best bet for healing. And surely when they add these other enemies up here, like the mantis, the black widow, whatever else gets added, those enemies are definitely going to hit harder than what we've been facing up to this point. And being able to heal is going to definitely be needed for combat, especially the first couple times you fight them because you're not going to know their attack patterns. The 5th and final resource I'm going to recommend farming now, or in this case crafting, is going to be mushroom bricks. The reason for that is twofold. Number 1, I recommend using mushroom bricks for any bases you're building now because of base raids. So we know now there's faction raids where if you anger certain enemies or kill too many certain enemies, or you're in their territory too long, you will end up getting attacked. I've been attacked by red ants. I've been attacked by spiders. Now, unfortunately, the spider raid did not happen at this base. It happened to my other one. But I built this base specifically for raids and tried to trigger them. And as you can see here, or maybe you can't see, we'll see, I have like triple layered this with mushrooms. So I have a mushroom wall here, one in the middle and one there. So in order for any enemies to break through these walls, you're gonna have to break 3 levels of mushroom bricks. The reason I recommend using mushroom bricks is because they have the highest HP currently. Now there may be another, if they had burr walls or maybe some other tier 4 wall, then it might be worth getting those. But as of right now, none of the enemies that raid can break through more than one of these walls, if that. And then I also recommend using these for the mixers. Right now there's 5 mixers in the yard. But completing all 5 of them only lets you unlock Guard Dog mutation status level 2. So if we go over here and look up Guard Dog, which is this one, you can I've completed all 5. I've only unlocked 2 of these. I don't know if it was after the 4th or 5th one. I can't remember. It might have been after the 5th one. So that means there's going to be at least 1 more mixer. I'm guessing there's probably going to be at least 2 more, maybe 3. And I would recommend, as of right now, for planning purposes, just use mushroom bricks. Using mushroom bricks around the one in the haze lab, or the haze area, as well as the one that was up here in the upper yard that's over here by the grill. They were super easy to defend using mushroom bricks. In fact, I think I only put 1 layer around this one. The one in the haze down here, I did use a couple layers because I tried to fully AFK it, but with all the explosions going on from the infected, they broke through some of the layers, but this was super easy to defend with a couple of layers of mushroom bricks. And then down here in the sandbox, I think I put 2 layers around that, and the antlines never broke all the way through it, and I could just sit there and whack them and take care of them. Over here, you probably don't even need it for this one because this is just spiders, but if you do build around this mixer with it, it's going to be super easy. And I'm almost positive if you build like 2 layers of mushroom bricks around the one in the grasslands, you can probably fully AFK it, and like none of the enemies are going to get through because the toughest enemy is going to be a red soldier ant. So I would definitely recommend building any new bases out of mushroom bricks. So I would recommend setting up your ovens, a couple of, if you can, set up some grinders, just cut down some toadstools, put them in there, turn them in the slurry, turn them into mushroom bricks. And I think I have mushroom bricks in one of these. So I got all the toadstools here. I might have mushroom bricks downstairs somewhere, but I'm going to have a bunch of these ready so that whenever they add new content, I'll just be able to build it and defend against it. So interestingly enough, as I was wrapping up this video, I actually got a raid triggered from spiders, which was pretty cool because I was trying to get spiders to attack this base. As you can see, it went successfully. The only thing the spiders managed doing any damage to was these 2 walls, so very little damage to this one. They did almost break this one, but that's because I basically just sat there and let the second wave attack it over and over and over again. But even if they would have broken through this wall, they would have had to go through the other side of this dome here, or this this tower here before going through 3 more layers. So they would have never gotten in, but I just dropped down and started hitting them with my sword. So that's why I recommend using mushroom walls for your bases in case of faction raids, as well as mixers. It's going to be your best bet right now, unless they add a tier 4 wall. And then, of course, just to recap, we had sap and crude rope for upgrading your armors, because there's definitely going to be at least 2 new armor sets. Quartzite, there's definitely going to be at least one new weapon, probably going to be more than that. You're going to need lots of quartzite for upgrading your weapons, at least to level 5, and then way more if you're going the mighty path. Muscle sprouts for the beefy smoothies, which I just happened to use during that raid. And then, once again, the mushroom bricks here. Get as many of those as you can so you can build around any new mixers that are added, as well as for any base raids, any faction raids around any bases you have currently, or future bases you're going to build. So those are the 5 resources I recommend farming between now and 1.0. If you can think of any other resources that you think are super important that I didn't list in this video, leave those down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to click the like button and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. If you want to support the channel even more, click the join card on the screen right now and become a channel member today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.